Hi, everybody. This is Marc Summers, and I'm going to be talking to the great George Wendt. Now, we discussed Cheers' first season.
I'm going to put what I perceive to be quality programming on the air and leave it there until the audience finds it. And it was St. Elsewhere, Hill Street, Cheers, Family Time, all those.
Must See Thursday.
Yeah.
Getting recognized in public. Everywhere you go, people yell, "Hey, Norm," okay?
Yeah.
And the art of improvisation with Second City.
A very short-term goal, which is a blessing for somebody as clueless as me. I just wanted to be in Second City.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to Marc Summers Unwraps. The anonymous thing. Some people, I used to have a person who I won't mention because you might know who he is. And we used to say when we were at a restaurant, and if you had to go to the restroom, he would swan through the restaurant, going all through the tables, hoping that somebody would stop him and recognize him. And he would be disappointed if somebody didn't. I, on the other hand, go directly to the table because I never got into this business to be recognized or to be, quote, rich and famous. It just was a passion that I had. And so I don't think about that whole thing. And they say once you've been off television for 3 years, people stop recognizing you. Well, I haven't really done any current TV since COVID. And so I'm kind of at that stage where out of sight, out of mind. And it's a good point to be because you can kind of just walk around and nobody thinks twice about, do I have to have my hair perfect? Should I be wearing better clothes than I have on? Should I take off my glasses? I'm very excited to introduce our guest today. Why are you shaking your head already?
Mr. Excitement, yeah.
Well, you said you're not Mr. Excitement, but you certainly, the role that you've played on television throughout the years, the one most notable would have to be Norm. But when I did the history, you and I must have crossed paths at some point because you were on a TV show called Alice, correct?
Yes.
And I did the warm-ups on Alice.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember what the episode was?
Yeah, Monty something. My character was Monty, who was created by Michael Tucci.
Oh, my.
And, I think part of it was there was a writer's strike at the moment. And I think, I was brand new in town. And but they knew I was from Second City. And so I think they thought I was not in the guild. They knew that.
Really?
What, the Writers Guild.
Oh, you weren't in the Writers Guild. Okay, but you were in SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah. And so I think they were hoping I would pitch in to help punch up.
No kidding.
Yeah, because and I really didn't understand the politics or anything going on. I probably would have been a little more, I probably wouldn't have pitched in.
But you did, so you ended up sort of writing and
punching
up.
No. I mean, hardly anything. Maybe just a notion or two.
Interesting.
But and I'm maybe just projecting that's why I was hired. Anyways, I think they were hugely disappointed because Tucci, is a character that they loved, and they returned the character,
right?
And but he wasn't available. So and then first thing it was I had to be on the roof of the building, the Mel's Diner,
right? And I kind of remember this now.
Yeah. And it was kind of daunting because it was, I had to climb up a ladder and get up on an actual roof. And the director, the first moment on the set, he goes, "All right, go on up there." He just wanted to see if I could handle, doing, I think it was 1 or 2 scenes up there. Up there, yeah.
But you and I were much younger back then. We could have.
Oh, sure. Physically, I could climb up there. But, it was, if you're afraid of heights, which I am, it's kind of
a little daunting.
Yeah.
Who was Marc Daniels directing? Do you remember?
He was.
Yeah, Marc Daniels. That whole team on Alice was from the I Love Lucy days.
I know, and it was so cool. So when I mentioned, maybe that could help rewrite, I'm sitting in a room with
Madeline Davis and Bob Carroll Jr. Bob
and and Linda, and yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Marc Daniels directed I Love Lucy and God knows what other shows along the way.
Sure.
And when he passed away, I went to the funeral and I walked in and I looked down and it said Danny Marcus. And I thought, oh my God, I'm in the wrong place. So I went to guy at the front. And I said, I'm sorry, I think I'm at the wrong funeral. And they said, who are you looking for? And I said, Marc Daniels. And they said, this is him. Well, his real name was Danny Marcus. But back when he started, they weren't hiring Jewish people to direct. So when he changed his name to Marc Daniels, he started to work.
Oh.
And I didn't know that because Marc Daniels used to throw the best Christmas parties in Los Angeles.
Oh, that's great.
And I used to go to those every year with big Christmas trees and lots of presents, not knowing that he was really a Jewish guy in disguise. And then you did Soap, and I was the warm-up guy on Soap. What did you do on that?
Oh, man. I played a diner, a short order cook in a diner. And a couple of the fellas were in a brawl. I want to say, I can't remember their names.
Yeah, I'm gonna think
Dutch and somebody else.
Oh, Dutch. Yes, that was a great character.
Yeah, and I broke up the fight, and that was pretty much it. But I remember in the note session between the dress rehearsal and the audience shoot.
Right.
The whole cast and crew is sitting around in a room, and Susan Harris is giving notes. And I was, once again, I'd been in town,
10 minutes,
3 months, yeah. And she goes, and blah, 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 note. And then she goes, and the short order cook, and I'm like, she goes, is the short order cook here? I go, yeah, that's me. I thought maybe it was going to get some kind of strokes. I go, yeah. And she goes, yeah, stop mugging.
Oh, really?
I mean, it scarred me emotionally. To this day, I've
it was a tough
really
set.
Tried to not mug.
Yes. Yeah, that was a tough place to be. And there, Jay Sandrich was the director.
Yes.
Who was the other, massive guy. Before James Burrows was around,
sure,
it was Marc Daniels and Jay Sandrich. So you've worked with all the biggies when you think about that, man.
Yeah, and Walter Miller.
Oh, man.
He was on everything.
He
all
was.
the variety shows.
100%. Yeah, oh, my God. And Paul, his son, used to be a stage manager when I was working on the Mac Davis show, and now he's gone on and done great directing as well.
He did SNL for years and years.
That's right. Yeah. And we'll talk about that. So let me ask you this question. Years ago, when I was a page at CBS, Rob Reiner walks out of the artist entrance getting ready to go to lunch, and the people are lined up to go to Price is Right. And as he walks out, they yell, "Hey, meathead! Hey, meathead!" And he went nuts and said, "My name is Rob Reiner, and I'm an actor, and meathead is a character." And he just was going nuts, okay? Now, I got to believe everywhere you go, people yell, "Hey, Norm," okay?
Yeah.
Is that a good thing?
Well, it doesn't happen anymore.
Really?
Well, not too much. Actually, my little brother is one of my brothers is 14 years younger than me, and he looks way more like Norm than I do at the moment. Just old age and whatnot. But it doesn't happen as much.
Interesting. So let's go back. You're a Midwest guy. You're from Chicago, Illinois.
Indeed.
I grew up in Indianapolis.
Southside, my friend.
and we used to go. I was a huge Chicago White Sox fan. And the first game I went to of a professional baseball team was in 1959. The White Sox were playing the Baltimore Orioles, okay? And Gene Freese was the third baseman for the White Sox. And he made 3 errors that day, and a crowd was going nuts. And the next day, he hit a grand slam home run. And the scoreboard, for those of you who aren't aware, used to explode and fireworks and crazy things used to happen. And it went on for like 10 or 15 minutes, sort of compensating for the day he had before. I was looking in my camera to find out a picture that I wanted to show you, but I couldn't find the darn thing. Probably the most interesting, exciting player that I ever saw was a man by the name of Minnie Minoso.
Yeah.
Played, I think, 5 decades in the American League.
Yeah.
And when I got to meet him and take the picture, I was like, it was like meeting Obama or somebody. It was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
What were you a White Sox guy?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's divided. You're either a White Sox guy or a Cub guy.
Well, I'm a South Sider, so
you had to be the White Sox.
Yeah. There's no, I mean, I've actually, done the odd promotional gig at Wrigley Field, like sing whatever.
Oh, yeah, take me out to the ball game or something, yeah.
And, like my little nephews would call up and go, "My world makes no sense. What? It's a gig. Come on." It's like, anyways.
That's funny. Yeah. So I grew up Louis Aparicio, Sherm Lawler, Luke Appling, all those guys. Did you I mean, what was the other one in the series? Was it 59? I want to
59, and that's the only year Minnie was back with Cleveland. It was weird.
That was sad.
Yeah.
And you wait all that time, and then that happens. Mm-hmm. And then it must have been a Bears fan.
Yes, indeed. I'm old enough that I was actually I liked the Bears.
Yeah.
But I was a Cardinals fan because they were the South Side team.
They were.
They played at Comiskey, yeah.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Chicago Cardinals.
Wow.
And then they moved to, I guess, St. Louis, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Arizona.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, a family of 9?
Yeah.
Tell me about growing up in that family.
Yeah, well, it was, I don't want to get, maudlin, but it was, actually it was really more like 7 because a couple of my siblings had the infant crib death.
Oh, my.
Thing. Yeah, so that's probably, anyway, so I was one of 7, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
my wife is one of 10.
Oh, is she really?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So, Catholic, obviously.
Yeah.
Religious family?
My mom was. My dad didn't, he went through the motions, but, yeah.
What'd your dad do for a living?
He was, started out in real estate and kind of morphed into just investing, investments, managing his investments.
And your mom, as they used to say, was a homemaker?
Yes.
Didn't work, I'm assuming, other than taking care of 7 kids and doing all that stuff. So, pretty normal, conservative Midwest family.
Yeah.
And tell me about you wanting to be in the entertainment industry. How did that go over? And how did it happen?
Well, I only wanted to, so I was really completely unfocused, clueless, goof off kid. I wasn't trouble or anything, but, I had no goals or ambition or anything like that. And then after college, I had no idea what to do with my life.
Talk a little bit about college. You went to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And then something tells me you didn't last at Notre Dame.
No.
What happened?
It was, I just didn't care about it. And, my dad was, it was his, I was a legacy at Notre Dame.
Oh, okay.
It was his alma mater. So I didn't, I was a solid C student for the first 2 years.
Right.
Then junior year, in my wisdom, I moved off campus because, it was kind of the cool thing to do. And I didn't think it through because I didn't have a car, right? So, and it was a little too far to walk, especially in that weather. And, I would have had to hitchhike or take the bus, and I just wasn't up to it. I mean, I was just a brat. What can I tell you?
So you got like a 0.00 GPA
I
is what I read.
didn't go to any classes or take any exams.
So they threw you out.
First semester, junior year, yeah.
And how did your dad take that?
Well, looking back in my wisdom, it was probably like a separation thing, and I didn't have the balls to do something significant like burn my draft card or something. So instead, I took the passive aggressive route and flunked out of my dad's alma mater.
And what were you doing all day? Did you have
Nothing.
a job? Nothing. You were just hanging. You were watching TV
Just
and chilling.
we didn't have a TV. No, I was like, I don't know what I did.
Just kind of hung.
Yeah.
So you get out of there, but you ended up going to another college and graduating, correct?
Indeed. I kicked around, in Chicago for like a semester or two, and I was getting really harassed at home, like, what are you going to do with your life? So I thought, I got to get out of here. So I thought, go back to college, right? And So I went to Rockhurst College in Kansas City, Missouri. Now Rockhurst University. They're fancy now.
Ah.
Yeah, it's a small Jesuit liberal arts college.
And you were majoring in what?
Econ. I thought business was boring, and history or something would have been too, unfocused. So I thought, well, economics, even though it's a social science, it's separate from the business administration curriculum. It would have something to do with business.
Right.
I don't know.
Had no idea.
Yeah, I was just...
Like most of us. I mean, some people are born with a passion, and some people are just trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So you graduate, and then what happens?
Go home, and once again, what are you going to do with your life? And I was just like, oh, God, please. And I called this one friend of mine, and he said, hey, how's it going? And, it's okay, but my parents are really up, in my face about what I'm going to do. I don't care about anything. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do a job that I hate.
Of course.
That was one thing I got from college. I think it was an ethics course or some philosophy course. Karl Marx's theory of alienation. And, I think in his scenario, it was the workers being alienated from the means of production or something. But for me, it was like I didn't want to be alienated from, I didn't want to do a job I hated.
Right. So
and so my friend goes, well, look, if you don't know what you want to do, I know what you do. I'm like, what? Does he go to Europe? I go, what do you mean? He said, well, you just get a backpack and,
travel.
Icelandic Airlines is...
I remember. They were the cheapest, like $99, right?
$165 from New York to Luxembourg City.
I remember.
And, maybe get a Eurail pass or something and just go. And you can do that? And, yeah. And so I
you
did it.
That?
I did it. And
how long were you over there?
For the better part of 2 years.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
And what were you doing? Just going from city to city?
Yeah, sleeping on the side of the road,
Any lasting memories that you can tell us about?
Jesus. Yes, a lifetime of memories. I ran into friends from Notre Dame. I went by myself.
Which was gutsy when you think about it.
Yeah, it was. And, I nearly had a nervous breakdown. I flew to Athens from Chicago, or wherever, however I wound up in Athens, I forget. You couldn't even read the alphabet.
No, you don't speak the language. You can't read the alphabet.
Yeah. So, because, with my Latin and whatnot, I could, figure out
certain
some of the
things.
Romance languages you could sort of read. Anyway, so, and then I went to Italy, and literally walking along the Tiber with a guy I met on the train, and we see these hippies and two guys, and we walk past each other, and then they get about a half a block away, and one of them turns around. And he looks like Buffalo Bill, he's got long red hair and a long red goatee and fringed jacket like David Crosby or something. And he calls up, hey! I go, yeah, I know you. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't think so. Yes, I do. And we start walking towards each other. And he goes, did you go to Notre Dame? I go, yeah. Did you used to drink at Nicola's? Yeah. I poured every beer you ever drank. It's like, I go, Begley? And it was this guy, Mike Begley. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I have no idea.
Really?
And I said, what are you doing? He said, oh, we've got a van. We're going to Morocco, the slow way. And I was like, we're looking for riders. And you want to come? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah. And well, meet us at American Express tomorrow. And well, blah, blah. And, we went to Morocco the slow way, which is
And I'm getting ready to go to Morocco, actually. How long were you there?
Oh, geez, months. Yeah.
And how do did you get little jobs or how did you support yourself?
No, we didn't spend any money.
No.
No.
So how'd you get food? How'd you eat?
Nicking lemons off people's trees and stuff, and sleeping on the side of the road, and taking the odd shower in a public bath, once a week or something.
So for 2 years you're doing this.
Well, yeah, I did go back to Chicago for to work for my dad's office, and get for like I don't know, about 3-4 months,
and then go back.
Well, it was like, this is bullshit. I think I'll winter in Spain. Because so.
What are you, like 21 here now?
Yeah.
So you went to Spain and hung out.
Yeah.
So what was it that finally said, okay, I better start doing some grown-up stuff and get a job and figure out what I want to do?
Process of elimination is what I did. It's like, okay, what won't I hate? Fireman, no, I'd hate that. Policeman, no, I'd hate that. Doctor, out of the question. Teacher, I'd hate that. Sales, I'd hate that. And I thought, well, my sister had brought me to Second City during college.
During college?
Yeah, one time. And I thought, I was blown away. I was just blown away. And I thought, wow, if I could do that, I don't think I would hate that. And
what was it that you saw that got you excited? And do you
remember?
It
just looked like 5 or 6 young men and women goofing off on stage, and I was pretty sure they got paid.
And you figured that must be a good gig, right?
Yeah, like that. God, I bet I wouldn't hate that.
Do you remember any of the performers?
Yes.
Who was there?
At the first time I saw them, it was Martin Harvey Friedberg, J.J. Barry, Murphy Dunn, Ira Miller, Peter Boyle.
Peter Boyle, no kidding.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
So this is, I'm going to say, what, 1970?
No, before. It was when I was in college. It was like 68, maybe.
68, okay. For those people listening who are not aware of Second City, explain to them exactly what that is.
Second City is a nightclub, a cabaret, and it's in Chicago. It started in 1959 as they just decided to devise their own shows, improvise. It was a group of University of Chicago, for the most part, intellectuals. I think that comes with the territory at U of C. And Paul Sills and Bernard Solins and Howard Alk, Sheldon particular, there's these guys just
kind of started the whole thing.
Yeah, it was basic storefront Chicago theater. They converted a Chinese laundry into a little cabaret space,
right.
And it's been open for like 70 years or something. 1959.
Tell people who are some of the folks that they would know.
Okay. Well, Bill Murray, John Belushi, Harold Ramis, Brian Doyle Murray, Robert Klein, David Steinberg, Steve Carell, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler.
It's insane the amount of talent that's come out of that.
Stephen Colbert, Jason Sudeikis.
I didn't know Jason went there.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Second generation. See, when I came out here, it was the Comedy Store. Improv always scared the living hell out of me.
Yeah.
The few times I tried it, I sucked at it and realized this is not for me. I can write material and get up and do it. And I became a regular at the Comedy Store in 76. Tell me about doing now, the first time you decide to go to Second City, you don't find out exactly what you want to find out, right? Don't they hand you a broom and say, clean up the joint?
Yeah, well, yeah. I'd done the workshops with a woman named Josephine Forsberg, and after about 6 months of it, she said, I think you might be ready for the children's show. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And so it was Sundays at 2:30, a little kids show, an improv kids show, play games and things like that. And she said, why don't you show up Sunday at 11:30? I go, oh, okay. And she said, and I say, well, isn't the show at 2:30? She goes, yeah, but just come at 11:30. So I'm ringing the doorbell at 11:30, and she finally comes downstairs, and she's got a broom and a dustpan, and she said, "Here, you need to, clean up from the night before," which is, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
It was a cabaret.
Drinking and
it was
smoking back then, and
it was dirty ashtrays everywhere, cigarette butts all over the floor.
Welcome to show business.
Empty cocktail. I had to basically, tidy up the room for the little kids.
And what did you think when she handed that to you and you thought, wow?
I thought, okay. And she said, welcome to the theater.
Ah.
Yeah.
So you did that, and then you did the theater thing for the kids.
Yeah. And then there was an opening for the touring company, and I auditioned, did not get in. Got beat up in a bar outside of Comiskey Park the night before. I was not presenting a good look.
Drinking a little too much maybe the night before?
Swollen face.
Oh, my.
No, yeah, we got beat. We jumped in a bar.
Oh, my.
Me and my friends. Weird.
And so you get turned down because you don't look the part, so to speak.
And then a company came to, the touring company at the time, got booked in Cleveland, and the local promoter in Cleveland convinced them to stay, so they needed an entire new touring company, and that time I got in.
You got in.
Yeah.
And when you go
there 6 years. Yeah.
And you go home and you tell your parents that...
Oh, no, I didn't tell anybody.
You didn't tell anybody?
Oh, I didn't tell anybody about the workshops or anything.
Why?
I didn't want to hear about it later. I didn't want to, I thought you were going to be in Second City. What happened there? I didn't say...
Oh, my.
I didn't share with anybody where I was disappearing to on Tuesday nights to this workshop.
So what did your parents think you were doing?
I don't think they cared particularly.
Really?
I was out of the house. I was I don't know what they thought.
And you just didn't have, the confidence, or didn't want to deal with
I didn't want to deal with, if it didn't work out, I didn't want to deal with sharing my dream with, because I didn't care about show business or a career in entertainment, let alone being on one of the best sitcoms of all time. I had a very short-term goal, which is a blessing for somebody as clueless as me. I just wanted to be in Second City.
That was it. No goals beyond that.
No.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
And what were they paying you when you did the first tour, so to speak?
Well, touring was $50 or $60 a show, but nearly immediately we got an equity gig. We all had to join equity,
right?
And so I forget what the scale was, 165, maybe 175.
Which you could live on back then. Here's the question I always wanted to know: how much of that was truly improv, and how much of it was sort of, we've already done some of this stuff before?
Yeah. In the touring company, it was almost entirely scripted.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, from previous, but it was cool because for me, improv's not really my long suit. I was just thrilled to be doing, stuff that I'd seen John Belushi do,
Sure.
or Billy Murray, or Joe Flaherty, Harold Ramis. These guys were gods to me. John Candy, I was just getting to do all those bits.
Were you friends with all these guys?
Well, eventually,
Yeah.
Not then. I was just a geek in the audience,
but you became one of them.
Somebody who was in the workshops, and
So 6 years of this.
yeah.
And then what makes you decide to come to Los Angeles?
Well, I met my wife at Second City. We were in a company together, and she got cast from Chicago. Got cast in a comedy pilot that was shooting in L.A. And so I stayed. Oh, and we had 2 boys, from her previous marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stayed in Chicago working at Second City and looking after the boys.
And she came to L.A.
She came to L.A. for 3 weeks to shoot a pilot. And she came back, and she started talking it up. because
Pilot didn't sell?
the pilot didn't go, but
Didn't go. But she liked L.A.
And also, she was being courted by agents and managers and networks and
Fresh
whatnot.
face, good performer, I'm sure. And
And so she said, I don't know. And I'd been there in Second City for 6 years at that point, and it becomes time to move on at a certain point. So I said, okay, let's go. And so
you come out here with no job.
Actually, I waited until I had a job.
Doing what?
A pilot for it was NBC.
Huh?
Yeah. And I left out a good part. My best friend in the workshops, it's Brandon Tartikoff.
Really?
When he was a junior exec at ABC in Chicago.
No idea. And he turned out to be one hell of a programmer at the network and died way, way too young. Yeah. So what, did you find him out in California?
No, he found me.
He found you.
Yeah. I mean, it was, he offered me a development deal for NBC, and I had this brand new agent, and I was like, no, I don't think, like the agents were going, I don't know, man. Yeah, and then you're not available for anything else. And I'm like, really? It sounds like kind of a good thing. What is the development? Well, they pay you so you don't do anything else, and they find something for you. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. So, I listened to my agents, and I pass on this thing. And then Bernie Solins calls me, Second City producer.
Right.
A few weeks later, he goes, I've got a writing project for you. I go, oh, what's up? And he goes, well, I want you and Tim Kazurinsky and Mary Gross to do this pilot. Can you come to Chicago and we'll write it? And so I said, yeah, because I was out of work. And, and then it dawned on me that the project that I'd passed on as an actor.
You're now writing?
I'm now writing. And
what's the show? What was the show?
Shoot. I can't remember
the name. A sitcom or a variety show, or what was it?
Oh, it was a sitcom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're writing the show that you turned down.
Yeah. And we shot the pilot. It did not go.
Yeah, what people don't realize is 90% of the time that you come out here, the answer is no, or the thing you were pitching doesn't sell.
Yeah.
So, the question people always ask me was, how did you make a living, I was a professional magician when I came out here, so I was working at the Magic Castle to pay my bills, and then I became a regular at the Comedy Store. I always felt good that I never took a job outside of show business. Not that there's anything wrong with working at Macy's or being a waiter, but I just fortunately never had to do it.
Yeah.
I found one thing after another. So you write this thing, it doesn't go. How many years of just mediocre work were you doing before the Cheers thing happened?
2 years, but
it
wasn't mediocre. It was Taxi and Soap and Heart to Heart and
so you've been big shows.
Yeah.
Just by going in and auditioning.
Yeah.
So there you go. You had no actual training other than Second City. You didn't take acting classes, or did you?
No.
So it was just you being you, and a certain type maybe they were looking for.
Yeah.
And then it's word of mouth. Once you do one producer talks to another producer, and they ask for you.
Yeah, and I was really super lucky, obviously. So lucky that, that entire touring company bailed in Cleveland, and, that's how I got in. And then, then Saturday Night Live hits, and, we were golden. It was
let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, it wasn't me so much. I'm talking about the show itself. Right. And everyone knew that the majority of the talent came from Second City.
Of course.
Yeah. So
when you host Saturday Night Live, how daunting was that? Were you scared?
It's cool, but I enjoyed it. I really, it's quite a process.
Explain it to me, because I've been to the show. I know from behind the scenes, Dennis Miller's a friend of mine, and I've heard stories. But tell me your point of view as a guest star.
It's, they take great care of you, you get to vote on lots of stuff, and But I mean, I've never seen anything quite like Lorne Michaels between the dress rehearsal and the show that airs,
Mm-hmm. Things
the live
flip
show.
a lot.
Oh my God, it's a masterclass in logistics and comedy and
So you do the dress rehearsal,
yeah.
and does it go longer than what we see on television?
The dress does. The dress is probably 2 hours, and most of that is update, weekend update. They just throw every joke
Really?
that was ever pitched all week.
They throw it up there.
They
Huh?
throw it up there, and then they see what works and what doesn't, and they cut accordingly. They keep it down to whatever it is, 10 minutes maybe. But it's probably like a 25-minute update.
Wow. And so you rehearse, what, 3 or 4 days before you go in and
Something
do
like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you memorizing things, or are they on
Oh,
cards?
no, it's all cue cards.
It's all cards. Okay.
Yeah.
And so people have worked their asses off writing these sketches, think they're going to get on. You do the dress at what time?
8, I want to say.
8. So like from 8 to 9:30, let's say.
Yeah.
So from 9:30 to 11:30, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Tell me what happens. How do they decide what stays in, what goes away, and how does that work?
So much of it is
Feeling?
well, I mean, they try to do what works, but so much of it is logistics. Well, Mike Myers say he can't make that change. He's got to swap out a wig. He can't get in this next sketch, and then, well, how about the plumber sketch? And no, that we cut that, and the set, they already shipped the set to New Jersey.
My God.
They have a warehouse or something in Jersey.
So when do you find out what's actually happening on the show at 11 o'clock?
11:25 maybe.
So are you literally like pooping your pants at 11:25? Because you had to go out and do a monologue first.
Yeah, and the cue card the writers are like dictating to the cue card guys right there on the spot.
Oh my!
And they're going 5, 4, 3, and the cue card guys are scribbling the last little bit that Smigle's giving them.
Right. Oh my God!
Yeah,
and Lorne is making all these decisions.
Yeah,
man.
Oh, he's
never met the guy, but I've just heard amazing stories about him.
It's truly I hosted twice, and it's probably the most impressive hour. The entire cast and writers and crews, they cram into a space about not much bigger than that, but about the same size as this.
Really?
Everyone's sitting on the floor on each other's laps.
Oh my!
And Lauren's at the desk, and they just roll up their sleeves and get her done.
And go for it. And so, tell me about these famous parties that happen after the show.
Yeah,
Do you remember any of them?
Not my cup of tea, really.
Oh no! Did you go to them?
Oh yeah, I went.
But you're not a guy that
you
cares
sort of
about...
have to go.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there's an after party.
Oh my!
I'd be too tired for that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
But what a great experience. So let's talk. See, I try and do amazing research before I have a guest, and I called 2 people who I know who worked with you. First one was Tim Berry. You remember Tim Berry?
Yes, of course.
Tim Berry and I were pages at CBS Television City, and he had this great career. He was producing, directing, and I called him up and I said, I have George Wendt coming on the show. Do you have any great stories? And he said, George is the nicest man you'll ever meet. He shows up on time. He says he was a great foosball player, is the line that he said to me. And I said, well, that's all you got? And he goes, he's just great. Okay, great. So I called Ken Levine, writer on the show forever. And I called him and he goes, the nicest guy you'll ever meet, hits his marks, knows his lines, never a problem. I said, that's all you got? That's all you got. So everybody has nothing but great things to say about you, which is fantastic to be in the industry as long as you've been in this business. Tell me about the audition process and how Cheers happened.
My agent calls and says, these guys are doing the Cheers, and they're interested in bringing you in for a guest thing, for a role, small role. It's small. I go, oh, okay. But you like them, right? They like you. You remember them from Taxi, right? And I go, yeah. How small is it? She goes, well, it's one line, honey. Actually, it's really one word. Honestly, looking at it, it's one syllable.
What was it?
Beer.
That's all you had to say.
Yeah.
So did you walk in the way you always walked in and sit down and just say beer?
No. It was to be in the tag of the pilot. And
the tag, by the way, is after the show's over with, right before they go to the next program. That's the tag, which is 20 seconds, right?
Yeah. And it was Shelley had been hired,
Mm-hmm.
and I was her first customer. And it wasn't at the bar, it was at a table. And she comes up and she goes, "Hello, my name is Diane. I'll be your waitress tonight." Well, I'm not really a waitress. I'm an academic. You see what happened, and she blah, blah, blah. Yeah, she does, so she does like a long paragraph. And then she said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I should be taking your order. What can I get you?" And I go, "Beer." And she says, "Beer. Perfect." And that was the end of the episode. And so the late, great casting director, Stephen Kolzak, says to me, "That's just really too small to audition with. Well, read this other one." And it was the character of George.
Oh.
And so I go, and he was the Norm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I read that, and then they wind up offering me that. And, as I said, I wasn't available because of this other gig. And so it was both Paramount shows. So NBC tried to see if CBS would let me do both. And CBS said no.
Really?
And so I was like, oh, man, that's too bad. But I thought Making the Grade was a good show.
Sure.
So I was, dang, And they said, well, why don't you just do the pilot on a guest basis? And then we'll see. And that's what I did. And then what happened was Making the Grade did not get picked up. And the day I heard that Making the Grade did not pick up, the offer for a series regular came in for Cheers.
Wow.
That was very lucky.
Great timing.
Yeah.
And so first year on Cheers, not going well. It was in like the bottom of all shows on television.
But we won the Emmy for Best Comedy.
And turned things around.
And Shelley won, and Best Writing and Best Directing for Burroughs. And yeah.
Back when they would stick with shows that they liked.
Well, at this point,
was Brandon there then?
Brandon and Grant Tinker. So it was Tinker's first year.
Wow.
And Brandon's first year, right there, because Brandon was with ABC before,
right?
With Fred Silverman.
Fred Silverman.
And Tinker had this mandate from the shareholders to, turn this around, because he was not. NBC was
in
last
the toilet. Yep.
For maybe a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And the cycle of develop, pilot, order, and cancel was just, an annual thing. And he said, I'm going to put what I perceive to be quality programming on the air and leave it there until the audience finds it.
Mm.
And it was St. Elsewhere, Hill Street, Cheers, Family Time, all those.
Must See Thursday.
Yeah.
Right place at the right time again. That's interesting. Grant Tinker was the nicest man.
Oh, great.
I had ever met. I was, in show business, you lie. And I was a page on Newhart and on Mary Tyler Moore. And Lorenzo Music did the best warm-ups of any person in the world.
Funny cat.
He was a funny guy. And so I'm 21, 22 years old and had balls of steel. And I went into his office and I said, you do the greatest warm-ups in the world. I do warm-ups. He says, you do? What shows? I'd never done a warm-up in my life. I lied. And he said, well, give me your number. If I can't do one, I'll give you a call. Yeah, you hear that all the time. 2 weeks later, my phone rings and it's Lorenzo saying, we're doing a pilot over here with Barnard Hughes called Doc. I can't be there. Would you fill in for me? Well, of course you say yes, but now I'm going, what the hell do I do? And I was working the Magic Castle. I brought magic. I did whatever I could do. I had no idea. I was scared out of my mind. And Ed Weinberger was making fun of me. He said, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a page at CBS, and he goes, "Come on down." He starts mocking me, and I'm going, "Oh, geez, this is going to suck." And I went out there and did God knows whatever I did. And when I got done, Grant Tinker comes down the stairway from the audience, puts his arms around me and says, "That's the best warm-up I've ever seen in my entire life."
Oh,
and
great.
it opened up a career for the next 6-7 years. I was the warm-up guy on Soap and Alice and Star Search and all that other kind of stuff. But he was one of those executives that was very kind. So you did every episode. You were one of the few people on the show. You did, what, 275 episodes?
Yeah.
And any of them stand out to you as your favorite? Where you were featured? And
No. The ones I was featured, they always felt stupid to me. But
really?
But yeah, because I think the best, versions were, a Sam and Diane story, obviously, and when Kirsty came on, it was just a completely different show.
Yeah.
Because it was originally envisioned as a romantic comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And indeed it was. And so I thought it was always best when Sam and Diane were obviously the A story, and then the B story could be, like a Carla thing or a Norm thing or a, Cliff thing or a Coach thing or whatever.
Yeah, Coach, when he passed away, you kind of wondered how that was going to change, and certainly they didn't drop a beat. Woody went in there and just sort of filled those shoes, and it was pretty amazing. So the Normisms, I've written several of them down here. When you walked in and things were said, like, "Hey, can I draw you a beer, Norm?" And you said, "No, I know what they look like. Just pour me one." "What's shaking, Norm?" "All 4 cheeks and a couple of chins." Beer, Norm? "Have I gotten that predictable?" I mean, any of these stand out to you at all? They were all, you kind of waited for them in the show.
Yeah. They, all 4 cheeks and a couple of chins. That's a good one. The gold standard is probably Dog Eat Dog World, and I'm wearing milk bone underwear.
I've got that right here, yeah, which is amazing. And so that was like your major line, which always killed, no matter what you said. People love that stuff. And what a great time! What an amazing period of, how many years was that show on? 11?
11, yeah.
11 years, and you got a lot of nominations for supporting actor and whatever. And so you finished this. Were you in Boston when they did that last show on the Tonight Show when things got out of hand?
Yes.
Explain that. So the deal was, I think Jay Leno was supposed to be live from the original Cheers in Boston.
Yeah.
And did people just get drunk and lose it? What was the problem that night?
The problem was we watched, it was a 2-hour show.
2 hours. Live, correct?
Oh, no. The show was not. Oh, Jay was live.
Yeah, Jay was live. Yeah.
The Cheers was a 2-hour episode.
Right.
And
"We're closed" was the last line.
Yeah. And, we drank the whole time. We were in a room together upstairs and just getting, hammered. And then we figure we'll just go on and no problem. And Jay, frankly, was very green on the job.
Very raw.
He was within a few weeks of starting. I think he could have handled it better, maybe, if he, had his sea legs under him as a host.
He had no idea.
But we were just bratty as could be, like, shooting spitballs at each other and, laughing.
Real grown-up things. Huh?
Yeah, just like dumb. And so that's, it was just alcohol and inexperience.
So you finished this amazing series after 11 years, and then you get a series of shows, but they don't last a whole hell of a long time, correct?
Yeah. It's not easy.
It's not easy. People don't understand that.
If people could figure out how to make a hit show,
we'd all do it.
Yes, they would do it all day long, and
it's what time you're on, what you're up against, all that kind of stuff.
It's alchemy.
It is. And so what goes through your mind after 11 years of that? And then you go, well, I keep getting all these opportunities, but for some reason, they're just not connecting. So what, as an actor, what do you feel?
You feel like, you're letting people down, or, like your writers, your castmates, you feel like, I don't know. I never really spent
a lot of time thinking about it?
No, I didn't, because It's usually just, well, I'll try something else, I guess. They're not buying this one.
And you did, and you started to do theater. And I didn't
Yeah.
realize that I saw you on Broadway doing, what was the show with Judd Hirsch that I'm blanking on right now?
Art?
Art, yeah,
Yeah.
which I loved.
Yeah.
And then you toured with Hairspray.
Oh, I didn't tour, but...
Well, you did on Broadway, right?
Broadway, yeah.
I thought you toured as well. But so you did Broadway as Edna, okay?
Yeah.
That role was exhausting. Did you enjoy doing it?
Oh, yeah. It was great fun. I mean, those two roles, Ivan in Art and Edna in Hairspray, are just... They were just really, really fun.
How long did you do the Broadway run?
Well, I did Art between London and New York for, the better part of 2 years. And Hairspray I did a little over a year. Oh, and then, I didn't tour with it, quote unquote.
Right.
But I have played Edna in other venues.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Up in Canada, twice in Canada. Once in Prince Edward Island at Charlottetown Festival, and once at Rainbow Stage in Winnipeg.
Were the audiences in London totally different than the Broadway audiences when you did Art?
No.
Pretty much the same.
Pretty. That show was magic.
Oh, so good. Good.
I've never seen it not work. I've seen various iterations, casting wise, and I've seen it played icy hot, or icy cold, and super hot, and even in between. It just is a lovely little piece.
I love it. It was so good. And the best part of playing Edna, who was playing the lead female role when you were doing it?
Shannon Durig.
Don't know her. Didn't see her.
Yeah, she was a replacement for Marissa Winokur.
Ah,
yeah.
I saw her do it a couple of times. It just must have been a ball. But the energy, so you're doing 8 shows a week, right?
Oh, it was the happiest show in town.
Yeah.
It was just, it was
the
fantastic.
music was great. And
yeah. Oh.
But those costume changes, was it tough to be in that fat suit and
Yeah. It's funny, that when I first got there, or right beforehand, they go, well, we're going to have to measure you for a fat suit. And I was like, have you seen pictures of me lately? I don't think they said, oh, no, you need a womanly, you need a big old booty. And, so, yeah, there was a fat suit, and, I just sat there, honestly. I showed up at half hour, and, they painted my face, and, you build up the look. You're really in a dowdy look to begin the show.
At the beginning, you're a housewife and you're ironing. And
you're just in a house dress, and, your hair is all ratty and crappy, and then you get glammed up. But there is one ridiculous quick change. It's I'm not a musician, but it's something like 16 bars of music. I had to swap shoes, jewelry, earrings, makeup, a wig swap.
But there's people backstage doing all this stuff.
There were 8 people working on me, and then bang, you're on stage, right? Because in the middle of a song, you go off to get glammed up, and you come back on, and it's like, la la.
That's a great change. Who played your husband in that role?
I was kind of a slut. I had several husbands. Tom Rooney was the one for the most part, a Canadian fella.
I'm trying to think of the guy who I first saw do it in the original cast, and I have a mental blank.
Shoot,
he was in Damn Yankees too, and I apologize,
Yeah.
but he was really fun. It just I saw Bruce Valanche do it. I saw Harvey do it. It just was a fun show to go see. You know? It was really amazing. So what's up in your life these days?
It's been theater, the odd TV project, the odd movie, but it's kind of sparse, which is fine because, I'm old.
We're all getting there.
Yeah.
What was your favorite role? Was it Cheers? Was it the Broadway stuff? Do you have a favorite? Was it all just good?
Well, Norm was definitely my favorite role. And the other two I just mentioned, Ivan and Art. I mean, that, those other two guys, it's a 3-person play.
Explain. It wasn't on Broadway a long time. Tell people what the theme of Art was.
Art was 3 lifelong friends, middle-aged guys. One of them buys a painting that is completely white canvas, and he buys it for $350,000, and the other snobby guy just cannot believe that
He
was such a sucker to buy this thing, and I was in the middle between the 2 friends, and but it was just so much fun. I mean, they just argued the whole show, and every time I opened my mouth, it was upper deck.
Yeah.
It was just like I was just hitting
home runs every time.
500-foot homers
every
time I opened my mouth. And so it was just a joy, like
what a great character.
Blah 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 blah. Me, wow, huge laugh. And then Edna, of course, Edna, and also working in London was just such a blast. And I did it with 2 different casts. We opened in London with Stacey Keach and the late David Dukes.
Oh my!
And then for some reason, then they wanted us to do it on Broadway, and
because I saw Judd do it.
Yeah, well, what happened was Stacey and wasn't available or something, so they got Judd and then Joe Morton, and so I did it with them, and then we did Broadway for a while, and then they thought, well, let's bring these guys to London, and we're like, oh. Yeah, okay. We had all the gear, we had
nice.
We just plug and play. So we just went to London and did it, for another.
Did you have trouble memorizing lines? I'm getting ready to do a one-man show, which I hadn't done in 5 years, and I always have the hardest time. Do you have tricks that you use, or does it just come natural to you?
It's not natural. You just got to work at it.
Do you have a technique that you use?
Not really. No.
Just somebody told me, Gary Collins, if you remember Gary, used to tell me to write it out. And then if you go up on your lines, you can kind of picture where the words are on the page, and that's worked for me in the past. But I just as I'm in the 7-0 number now, it's becoming more and more difficult to do. 2 more things, and I'll let you go. You were in an episode of Columbo. What was that experience like?
It was just amazing. Peter Falk, such a great guy, and such a hard worker. I mean, oh my gosh, there was not a moment, because we had all these big scenes, like 5, 6, 7-page scenes where he's cat and mouse, where he's, sort of.
Excuse me, one more thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And, I was a bad guy. He whenever there was any kind of downtime on the set, we were running lines, and it was great.
Nice. That must have been a great experience.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And here's one that I didn't even realize, and I've seen this video a million times. The Michael Jackson video, Black or White. You play the father on that.
Yeah.
Were you in any scenes with him, or was it done separately without Michael?
Well, Michael was on board, as.
Did he cast you?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
John Landis directed it.
Oh, that's right.
I'm sure Michael voted, whatever. But it was, I've done some weird things for Landis. I think in that one he shot me into space.
Yeah, shot you into space in a chair.
Yeah,
and then you landed somewhere. That was crazy.
In Africa, I landed in Africa.
Yeah, that's right. And so certainly when you were shooting it, you had no idea it was going to be this explosive video that
premiered all over the world simultaneously. And
so, did you meet Michael?
Oh yeah.
And what was that experience like?
I was really expecting. Do you remember how Fred Armisen and Maya Rudolph would do like Prince?
Yes.
and it would always, Prince wouldn't speak. He would whisper in Maya Rudolph's ear, and
It was a
she
funny
would
sketches.
translate. And I thought it'd be something like that,
And it wasn't.
very remote. But he was just cordial and warm and very nice and regular, and arm around you, and just very, what can I say? Yeah, nothing but good things.
For a guy from Chicago who had no idea what he wanted to do, it's been one hell of a career.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I've been blessed. My mother had a convent of cloistered nuns praying for my career.
Well, they apparently worked very hard and did a great job. Thank you for taking time to come and talk with us today. I know our listeners are going to be thrilled, and continued success and good health, sir.
Thank you.
Take care. Marc Summers Unwraps is a production of Believe Limited, created by me, Marc Summers, and Jessica Richmond. Produced by Keith Korneluk and Jessica Richmond. Executive produced by Patrick James Lynch and Ryan Gielen. Post-production support from Joshua Sterling Bragg and Believe Limited. Don't forget to subscribe or follow the show on your favorite podcast player, and if you really love it, why don't you leave us a rating and a review? Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Marc Summers Unwraps.